Good everyone. Last day of 2020. The year that has been, very challenging, very different, and very trying for a lot of people. So we're looking forward to 2021. And that's where most people are focusing. They're going, 2020, let's put that behind us. Let's move towards 2021, and this is going to be a better year. Well, things in Australia have started to take a little bit of a turn. Looks like we're not going to be able to have New Year's Eve festivities, especially here in Sydney, that we normally have because this thing called COVID keeps coming back. For other parts of the world, there's vaccines started to be rolled out, so there's opportunities there for the world to go back towards normal. Now, conventional wisdom would say that we try to get back to as normal as what we had, which is basically return to what we had in 2019. Now, I would suggest that conventional wisdom is wrong in this case, especially as what we do in a business is we look much further beyond just next year. We're looking towards 2030 and beyond. What is the world going to look like there? How can technology impact? How will it impact our businesses? So this is where we're looking. We're looking much further beyond that. And when we look that far ahead, we see that 2020 is a real transition year. It's given us the opportunity to understand how technology impacts our business in a very fundamentally different way. We're all working remotely, and this is a capability that technologists like myself have been talking about for more than a decade. And because of that, the world was pretty much primed and ready to go when 2020 hit and the lockdown started happening. We're all kicked out of our offices and we're all working from home. For most companies, they transitioned very, very quickly to be able to work in this remote world where everyone's stuck at home. It didn't take long for everyone to get used to the idea of Zoom calls and video conferences and other such things. And the technology was just sitting there waiting in the wings. And you're going, why didn't we do this before? And that's a very good question. Why didn't many businesses take advantage of this before? For me, I would say it's the conventional wisdom of how you build a business, which was developed back in the 60s, that we have, and been 1960s, by the way, where everyone's supposed to be in their little cubicles inside of an office. And we started to go into activity-based working because we wanted reduced floor space, but ultimately we wanted everyone in the same office building. The thoughts were that by doing so, we have a lot more control of our workforces. Well, did you? Do you have less control now that everyone's working from home and you can't see them or eyeball them? How are you measuring them? Are you measuring based on the output they deliver, or are you measuring on the amount of hours they clock in for you? I hope it's the former, not the latter, because ultimately what we're trying to do is build value, right? To build value, you've got to measure output. And there's a lot of ways of doing that. And we see that the technology adoption that we've taken by doing this shift to remote working because of the impact of 2020 has changed the world, has changed the business world significantly. So for us, we look at what conventional wisdom is saying is that, get a vaccine, get people back into the office, get people back into the grind of commuting to and fro many hours each way, and rebuild the economy based on what we had. That doesn't sound wise. And it's not something that we would advocate either. We're advocating that you embrace this new way of working. You embrace technology a lot more. And you get a better understanding of how it works within your business. And we're not talking about executive teams becoming technologists overnight. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't do that. But you should have an appreciation for how all these systems work. And that's why we built our systems and our processes to help organizations understand from the top down, from the board and the executive level down, how everything fits together, so that you're not held to ransom by the technology gurus out there who are telling you you need to put this system and that system and everything else in, right? They're often using the fact that you might not necessarily have the deep understanding of how these systems work to take advantage of people. And you pay a lot of money for this stuff, and it might not necessarily solve your problems. They talk about features and capabilities and all of this sort of stuff, but you've got to go, well, how does that influence or impact my business? How does that add value to my business? Is that going to help grow revenue? Is it going to reduce my workforce? Is it going to improve productivity? Is it going to expand my reach so that we can go global and access additional markets that we didn't necessarily have access to before? Is it going to reduce costs, improve efficiencies? Right. These are the sorts of questions that executive teams and boards are looking for answers to, right? They're looking for answers to those questions. They don't care about the features and widgets and other things that your tech can do. They're looking for improving the bottom line of their business. They're looking for growth. They're looking for new capabilities. And this is the language we talk. We want to break down. We're not concerned necessarily about the technology itself, but we're looking at what the technology can enable. And it's not just the product, right? It's not just the products that you can buy or sell, and there's thousands of products to solve the same darn problem, right? There's thousands of them. Go and Google for project management systems, and there's thousands of different ways of doing that. Look towards the existing systems that you have. Do those existing systems support the capabilities you're looking for? And often they do. Right? We often will look towards external systems to solve problems when really the systems that we already have are more than capable. So why spend the extra $1 million going and get something new when you've got something that does the job just as well? It seems crazy. So we should stop doing that. And ultimately, we want to get to a place where we really understand how tech is influencing your business and influencing your customers and your partners. How can we leverage that in a way that helps you build a business, not just to solve the problems for tomorrow? Right? 2021, we're still going to have this COVID thing sitting around. It's still going to be with us for a while. And the way that we operate as a society is going to be with us for some time. Right? Travel is going to be restricted. That's a given. Right? So, but there's new things coming online that really start from 2021 that help us accelerate towards a 2030 future, where we've got multiple governments around the world that are talking about net zero emissions. And yes, there's the big elephant in the room. Net zero emissions. What does that mean? How is that going to impact your business? How are you going to get access to the power and resources you need? Your fleets of vehicles that you run, how are they going to change and transform? Is that going to accelerate autonomous vehicles? Is that going to accelerate artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other capabilities? What does this mean? Is this going to accelerate adoption of renewables? How are you going to take advantage of your factory roof space and solar panels across all of that? What other power and services do you need? These are big questions. But we need to start planning for that now. And this requires a lot of understanding around the technologies that are coming on stream and how that's adopted into your business. Because quite frankly, most businesses I see today are still operating in a 1980s or 1990s paradigm with some 21st century technologies in there. They haven't changed the paradigm and how they function. And this is really the shift that between now and 2030 is going to see. And if your business is not at the forefront of doing so and leveraging this shift in business thinking and methodologies and practices by leveraging 21st century with 21st century thinking. If you're not doing that, I'm going to ask, will your business be here in 2030? I don't know. Yeah, it's a very, very good question. But if you can't answer that, and you're not planning for that, what are you going to do? Is that it? So let's look towards not just 2021 as we contemplate the year that has been today, and we celebrate the new year this evening, wherever that may be. Probably at home with your kids and family, because you won't be going out. There won't be opportunities to go and socialize. You'll jump onto Zoom calls and other things to try to connect with others. And we look towards not just 2021, but 2030 and beyond. Andy Prosser, the Executive Technologist.